Welcome, loves. Hey, loves, what's up? What's going on? I hope everybody is doing good on this wonderful, cloudy, blessed day. This is your host, Heather Stephanie, Speak Now podcast. We are on episode 2, guys. We are in season 1 still. We are still combating. Well, it's been not combating, but we are still in accountability in relationships, and so I'm excited about it. So this is hopefully it don't be too long. However, now I will say today has been one interesting day in recording. I'm not sure why, but I kind of have a clue what it could be. So if you're watching this live episode, you can see where I'm at. If you're just listening, just go along with just go along with it. We're gonna get through this episode. This episode is really talking about um, apologizing, forgiveness, you know, being accountable for our actions. Now, many are not parents. Many don't desire to be a parent. If you're not a parent, that doesn't mean that this is not for you. It's definitely some free game for those that who don't have children, but definitely see yourself as a parent, as you should. You may not even be a parent. You may be a mentor, a teacher, a coach. A doctor. So, anywho, this is um, episode 2. Once again, I'm about to go ahead and get started. So, something recently that um, that I've been really compelled to share and talk about, and something that I have been noticing strategically with our males, a lot of our male seeds, whether grown kids, adults, young boys, the truth of the matter, a lot of them are angry. Yeah, I know. So, not just them, there's a lot of people, you know, angry for whatever reason. I have no idea. But I will say this, sometimes being angry can stem from your childhood. There's a lot of men that are angry at women. They hate women. That's why they beat on their wives. They beat their girlfriends up. You know, they they cheat on them. You know why? Because you really remind them of their mother. You really remind them of, somebody that they wish nourished them properly when they were 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. However, all they saw was aggression and suck it up. You know, boys don't cry. You a man, be a man. You know, and they're a grown man now. They don't know how to communicate because they got to be hard. They got to be, suck it up. That's why a lot of men don't know how to communicate. That's why a lot of men shut down if they are dealing with certain things. They don't know how to articulate how they truly feel because they never had anyone to acknowledge their emotions, to acknowledge how they feel. Unfortunately, most of the time, it's the caregivers that raise these babies, these big boys, these adults, these grown men. Now, I'm not just solidifying this to men because women too, okay? But right now, I'm talking to the men because, man, when I tell you the enemy is really after the male seed, the enemy really hates the male seed. But, you know, when they were children, a lot of the women, the parents who they should have been able to come to and get nurtured on, and, you know, they were told to, you know, shut up, boy, or go in there. Don't nobody care. You a boy. You a man. Suck it up. No. Do you know how? Do you know how that boy probably feel? That man probably feel. Never even having a chance to voice his emotions of how he feel. Okay. What happens is, you know, when that happens. Now, as a parent, as a caregiver, as a role model, because if you are a parent, we are our child's first role model. We are. And we literally, model what we want to see in them happen before their eyes so they can see, how you should maintain yourself. Like, you instill in them morals, standards, discipline, instruction. Those are some values, some things, some qualities that we need to teach our children. And if anybody that come in my presence that a child, you're going to learn something from me because I'm just a teacher at heart. I have a teacher. I'm a teacher. To God be the glory. Anywho, so there's a scripture I want to share. Ephesians 6:4. It say, parents, do not provoke your children to anger. And then there's one that say, Ephesians 6:1-3. It say, children, obey your parents so that your days will live, you will live long on the earth. And so there's a two-part accountability right there. So you had the first part, okay, children, obey your parents. For this is of the Lord. We know that by obeying our parents, we're going to live long on the earth. Okay? That's a given. The second part is, parents, do not provoke your child. Don't provoke them to anger, to wrath. Enticing, enticement to anger, like provoke them, manipulate them. Don't try to control them, conform them into the person that you want them to be. Like, so when that child grow up and he hates, or she don't like you, maybe it's because you haven't held yourself accountable for the actions that you have done when that kid was a child. Because everybody grow up. Okay. Let me tell y'all about my testimony. One of my testimonies about my father. So I grew up. My father was not in my life, unfortunately. It was unfortunate, but I thank God that I had some really blessed men that was a part of my upbringing that was able to guide me and help me and teach me different things that I needed to know as a young lady. One day soon to become a woman, right? So I can count on one hand how many times that I literally saw my father growing up. So there were some things that of course, I had issues, right? Rejection, daddy issues, and all that. I actually wrote a book about it, not just about that, but about my testimony. I have a few of them. It's called My Testimony, The Glass House Experience. And it's at every bookstore. Okay, but I didn't get on here to promote that, right? So, so yeah, I'll be the glory. So, because, yeah, I don't really like, anyway. So, with that being said, I see my father for, I wouldn't say the first time. So I'm a few years back. And prior to that, I had saw him when I was maybe 18, 19, roughly. I'm well in my 30s now. So a few years from 2024, I would say about three years, because he actually, about 3 years. 20 it's 2024 now. We just gonna be on the safe side, about 3 to 4, okay, in that margin, right? I literally lay eyes on my father, go in where he's at, and y'all, because one thing about it, if you have ever, you know, um, been able to, if you have ever did something to someone unconsciously or consciously, and you knew it was wrong, and you knew that if you ever had an opportunity to make it right, you would do that, because you know in your heart that this was wrong. You know in your mind that, you know in your heart that beating that child, that's wrong. You know in your heart making up lies, using your child as a pawn to manipulate that man, you know in your heart that that's wrong. You know, mother-in-law, that telling your son or your daughter all these lies about this good person that God done sent to him. You know in your heart that you're wrong, but you want control. You want them to be under your spell. You want them to be under your control, Jezebel. Listen, you know it's wrong. Anywho, when somebody wrong or do something wrong, there is something called a conviction. And I believe if you don't have a conviction, like, that's something that from God, okay? Holy Spirit, right? Or some people call it, this bad feeling, or when something not right. So I'm gonna call it conviction, because yeah, when you've been convicted in your heart, you know that you've done something that you were not supposed to do. What's the best thing to do? Make it right. Make it right. As a mom, as a teacher, as a sister, as a daughter, y'all, if I'm wrong, sometimes I can't even sleep. If I know that I've done something wrong and I know I need to make it right with somebody, y'all know I may shoot a text, I may call, I have to get it right. If I have some ounce of unforgiveness in my heart or something, because I'm so in tune with me and my emotions, how I operate, because when you don't forgive, you block your own blessings. God's not hearing your prayers, none of that. Um, when we walk in, yeah, maybe the reason God has not answered your prayers is because you haven't forgave that person. You haven't forgave your mom. You haven't forgave your sibling or your brother. You're still harboring unforgiveness in your heart. Like, let that go. Unforgiveness is for you, not for the other person. Right? Okay. The dollar store socket. All right. And so I said all that to say, once I got in front of my father, y'all, guess what his words were? Like, as soon as I got in his presence, guess what they were? They were two words. I apologize. I apologize. That was it. Y'all, two words that literally changed my life. Two words. Not because I asked him to, I wasn't even expecting an apology. But again, there is a conscience that you have if you are a mature person, if you are human, if you have some sense of heart, like, and you're not cutthroat, you're not evil, you're not malicious. Like, if you got some type of conscience, you want to make it right. You want to. So that's the two words he told me. I apologize. I apologize for, and but was very specific, was very intentional about why he was apologizing. He knew exactly what happened. He knew exactly what he did. He knew exactly what went wrong. He knew exactly. Unfortunately, it took him that long to make it right. God allowed an opportunity to present itself, and he was able to make amends to his, to his children, to me, to I just shared that to say, I'm not telling you something, oh, because it sounds good. No, I'm telling you something because I've lived it. Even myself, I have had to apologize to people because, again, if you're human, if you have a heart, especially if you say you love God, you love Jesus, like you're a believer. If you have some sense of heart, love, okay, you want to make things right. You want to hold yourself accountable for your actions because you know in your heart that that wasn't right. So what happens is we have these children that are being beat to death. That's happening even now. That happened even before our time. You know, and I'm not saying being beat to death, but I'm saying you have these children that have no voice, a lot of them. And the parents are held accountable, responsible, supposed to be. And so, yeah. So that's what we tend to do. We'll, like, how can you, like, not hold yourself accountable? So we, as parents, we have to hold ourselves accountable. And so what I was saying as far as with the children, I had a quick pause real quick. So I think I was talking about how there were so many children that's being beat and parents just think it's okay. I don't know, for whatever reason, like, and I think I shared this earlier about, with the angry, a lot of men are angry, but truth is there's a lot of people that's walking around angry because of something they didn't receive when they were a child and now they're an adult. And sometimes who you angry with is your mama, your daddy, somebody that dropped you when you needed them to hold you up. So if you are on either side, I don't know. I would just make it right, make amends. We never know how long we gonna be here. Unfortunately, we don't know how long they're going to be here. Unfortunately, my dad, he passed in 5 months. I had him 5 months. He had made plans. We was gonna do XYZ. And that last conversation we had, I've never heard my dad tell me he loved me, but that last conversation we had, he told me he loved me. And I, I thought, wow. I thought, wow. You know, we never know when, when we would, when we would no longer be here, So I'm not sure which side you're on. Maybe you're not on either side. Maybe you are the child that is yearning for your parent, you know, to apologize to you. And maybe your parent is deceased. Maybe your parent is no longer here. Well, I'm going to say I apologize on their behalf, okay? Because at the end of the day, you may not never get the apology. That's real talk. You may not get the apology. But if you are living and if you are breathing, if you know, parent, that you have wronged that child, you've neglected that baby, you have, you know, you kicked them to the streets, you unconsciously, kids are very impressionable. Whether we know it or not, we may have been, you may have been in an abusive relationship as they were little kids and they were little babies, and you know, you were in an abusive marriage, abusive relationship, and they were abused. They were told they weren't nothing. The kids was probably told, you dumb, you stupid, or whatever the case may be. And you're the parent of that child. Well, that child now grows up, and now that child resents you. Of course, they have to play like they love you and like you because you're their mom, you're their dad. But if you really have a talk with that child, like, really, they just really waiting for you to apologize to them. And some things we have no control over. Some things we cannot control. You may have been, I've been in an abusive relationship before. I've been in an abusive marriage. I've been in toxic relationships, you know, accepting things beneath my worth, my value. We have all been there. We've all made poor, bad decisions in temporary situations. We made permanent decisions in temporary situations. We've all been there. The thing of it is, will you make it right now? Because that child is one day going to grow up. And let me tell you, I have to share this with you because I'm a mother and I hold myself accountable. I do. I'm not perfect. I don't always get it right. Matter of fact, I used to be so bad blaming myself for staying, for allowing things. I used to beat myself up. I used to go to sleep crying and really, mad at myself for even allowing myself to stay in a situation that I knew was beneath me, that I knew was toxic for me, that I knew was bad for me. But you know what? I came into grips. I came to myself. I made it right. I owned it. I acknowledged it. I apologized. I did what I needed to do. And we're okay. We're happy. We're good. Am I going to continue to discipline you accordingly? As the word tells me to train you up in the way that you should? Absolutely, I am. Will I provoke my child? I hope not. I, God is my witness. I try not to. I hope I don't, Lord. If I do, forgive me. Just that simple. Practice apologizing to that baby, to that boy, to that young girl. Practice apologizing to them. Just yesterday, I went through my child's phone and I read a text message that said, that's how I know that God gave me this to share. Just yesterday, I wasn't even expecting to go through this phone. Matter of fact, it was probably yesterday or early this morning. Anyway, the text message read, this was from someone, he's in fourth grade. These children are fourth grade, so they're about 10 years old. The child say, the